Hi, I'm Matt Hinckley. I used to drive for Zaycon Foods, and one of the things that customers would always, their first time anyway, they would always ask me, what am I going to do with 40 pounds of chicken? And what does it even look like? A lot of times people don't know what 40 pounds of chicken looks like, so let's get looking. So before you open it up, I would like to recommend to people to take just a second, wash out the sink, and treat the sink as if it's a large bowl. Because when you do that, any chicken juice that might come out is going to be caught in the sink and not on your floor. After picking up chicken and processing it, you don't want to deal with that. Also, before you start processing the chicken, if you're wearing any jewelry, go ahead and just pull that off really quickly, because oftentimes bacteria can hide, and you're dealing with chicken, you're dealing with your family's health, so you don't want to be playing any games there. So I like to tell people, carry the box in, put it next to the sink, take the top off, pick up the bag, into the sink in one fell swoop. Now, you don't have to worry about chicken juice dripping out of the bag, because it's just going to go down the sink. So then, inside this bag, is 4 smaller bags with the chicken in here, and I will show you exactly as they come. So this is how they come, as an idea for the size. They're very good size. A lot of people will simply take the chicken out of the bags and put it directly into a zipper bag in this fashion. So I do a quick roll down. And then this is the quickest, easiest way to get it into the freezer. And you can just stack them up. I personally like to trim them a little bit. And trimming them is very easy. It's very quick. All right, so you're going to grab a little bowl to trim with, and then yes. And yes, when you're doing this, you'll probably wash your hands more in that hour time period that it takes you to process the box of chicken than you've probably done all week long. All right. So to start the trimming, what you'll need to do is get the sharpest knife you can get your hands on. I cannot say that enough. If you have a dull knife, trimming this will be an absolute chore. But if your knife is nice and sharp, it'll make your the processing go much, much quicker. Okay, you're going to start with the 2 breasts, and there are these kind of little lobes on each side. And I like to trim the chicken before I put it into the freezer. Some people do, some people don't. There is no need to. You don't have to. It is just okay to throw it into the zipper bag and be done with it. But I like to clean these off for a couple of different reasons. I like to make use of these meat pieces here and the center connective tissue. So you'll cut these off on each breast, and then just take a knife, go right down the side, get that connective tissue out of there. If you want to, you can take a lot of extra time and cut each one really tiny, and you'll end up with a lot of small pieces, which I think is fantastic for a fried rice, for a stir fry, or stock pot. But whatever you do, don't throw them away. And again, if you have a sharp knife, your work is cut in half. And then the second breast, same thing as the first. And it took seconds just to process both of those. And now this is ready to go into the zipper bags or into the vacuum bags, whichever way you like to do it. Okay, so after you've trimmed the breasts, you can put them into the zipper bags. And then that looks like this. And now a lot of the customers that we have will use a vacuum type seal bag. And my recommendation there is those bags are not cheap. So I like to say maybe take about 2/3 of your chicken and process it into a vacuum bag, and then take about 1/3 of the chicken and put it into the less expensive zipper type bags and use those first and save the vacuum bags for later, because the vacuum bags you'll be able to store the chicken in your freezer for up to a year, and just use these ones before you start in on the vacuum bags. So when you go to do a vacuum bag, I like to, you don't have to, I like to roll the edges down, because once again, you don't want to get the area of the bag that is going to be sealed. You don't want to get that necessarily wet, and you definitely don't want to get a piece of chicken in there that would prevent the vacuum sealer from doing its job. So into the vacuum bag the chicken goes, roll it up, and then you're going to want to situate it so that it is not overlapping into the vacuum sealer, making sure that there's no debris, no piece of chicken underneath the seal area. Hit the button and let it do its job. And this is a trimmed. This is a piece that I had cleaned and processed a little bit, as opposed to just putting it in. So then, after you've got your vacuum pack done, you want to double check the seam to make sure it is a good seam, because this is going to be sitting in your freezer. And if it's properly vacuum packed, this can sit in for up to a year in the freezer, and you'll have terrific chicken breast all year long. So a lot of times people will make these bags the day before they pick up their chicken, so that that is taken care of beforehand. All right, so then that is open. Roll down the bag so that you don't get the chicken juice on the edges. And I'm going to do one that has not been trimmed. And forgive this, I just don't want to get my hand up in there again. That way you have dry around in there, so that when it goes to take its seal, it will give you a good one. Flatten it out a little bit so that you don't have any pieces overlapping each other. Into the vacuum sealer. Hit the button and take that air out. Let it seal it up. So this is how it would look trimmed. This is how it looks untrimmed in the vacuum bags, ready for the freezer. And also don't forget, date the bag, because that way you'll know exactly how old that chicken is, and you can use the oldest first. All right, so we've got those bagged up. Now another thing that a lot of people like to do would be to cook it before you put it in the bags, which is terrific, because you'll have half of your work done when you want to make a recipe if it's already pre-cooked in the freezer. So this is the easiest way to do it, is a simple poach, just in some water. Poach it until it's done, and then shred it. And you can use the shredded chicken in anything from a barbecue chicken sandwich, which is pretty basic. You could use it for chicken salad sandwiches. You can use it in a chicken enchilada. You can use it in chicken soups and stews. But if it's already cooked, shredded, and in the vacuum bags, then your work is already done, mainly because when you buy pre-cooked chicken at the grocery store, I've priced it out in the past, and sometimes it can be $8, $9 a pound for chicken breast. And if you buy it from Zaycon and cook it yourself, shred it, you'll know exactly what goes into it, and you'll be able to have the same quality chicken breast, and it'll be a lot less than $8 a pound. Now that I can guarantee you. Now, if you like a larger piece, make it larger. If you want a smaller little shreds, just keep going and shred it, shred it, shred it. Now this I let get cooler. Then if you do it when it's hot, it's easier. I have found if it gets cold, it'll be a little bit more work. All right, so what we've done here, we've got vacuum packed, untrimmed. We have vacuum packed trimmed. We have zipper bag trimmed, zipper bag untrimmed. We have poached, shredded chicken in the zipper bag, ready for a chicken salad sandwich, anything you can imagine, wonderful enchiladas. And another way to process your chicken, which is a different video for a different day, is to can the chicken, which is terrific because it is shelf stable. It's not going to take up any space in your freezer, great for long-term storage, and you can determine what goes into it if you do your own home canning. However, I'm not going to do that right now. All right, well, that's a great way to get started on a 40-pound box of chicken. Once again, I recommend 2/3 in the vacuum bags, maybe 1/3 in the regular zipper bags, and get to processing. See you in the parking lot.